and maybe sparkly. Not gonna be sparkly in this edition.
Welcome to Baking with Frank. Frank Rush was a baker at the turn of the 20th century at the Uffelman Baking Company in Cincinnati, and then at his own bakery in Newport, Kentucky. Frank was also my great-grandfather. Through his handwritten batch-sized recipe book, I'm breaking down his recipes and getting to know him better. I'm Tom Mattingly, and this is Baking with Frank.
Welcome back to Baking with Frank. So, this week, we're going to beat the heat. It's supposed to get really hot tomorrow. And make Frank's gold cake. Now, I've never had a gold cake, but I'm assuming it's just a really eggy white cake or yellow cake, and maybe sparkly. Not gonna be sparkly in this. In any case, it is heavy on the eggs, and we're gonna see what happens. So, point you down here so you can see what's happening. Into the bucket, we're putting 2 sticks of butter. Get that going. And 14 ounces of flour. 14 ounces of sugar. I do know the difference. Let's go. And 4 egg yolks. Yes, I did split this myself by hand. And we're going to whip this for a hot minute, probably a hot 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn it up. Okay, that might not have been 5 minutes. That might not have been 5 minutes, but it's close enough, and it looks like everything's homogenized and all of that. So we're going to move on into the creamed butter sugar egg. We're putting 1 cup, 8 ounces, or a half pint in Frank's language, of milk, in this case half and half, because it's closer to what Frank would have had. Let's scrape this down a little bit because all the butter seems to be sitting on the sides. We want to mix that up as best we can. All right, now into that, we are adding 14 ounces of flour and 1/2 ounce of baking powder. 14 ounces of flour, 1/2 ounce of baking powder. I'm just going to sprinkle the baking powder over the top. I'll give that a little stir. And then we go. That's about half the flour, so I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Certified mom spoon under attack right there. All right. Scrape that down again. Very thick cake batter. We will not be giving it an aspirin because we want it to get hot. All right. We'll let that down. top that off. Let's scrape off some of the residual here. All right, we are going to use our favorite baking spray. Realize you heard that but didn't see it. Boom, pan's prepared. And we're doing 2 8-inch layers. Try to divide this up as evenly as I can. All right, that is very thick, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway, right? Considering that Frank's recipe started out with 12 pounds of sugar, we're using 10 ounces and 8 pounds of butter and 2 quarts of egg whites. I'm sorry, egg yolks. Blah, 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 blah. It's tasty though. Tastes good. All right. I'm putting these in the preheated oven right there. You can see it. At 350 for 22 minutes. I read that off of Box Cake Mix. So I'll probably just start at 20 minutes. We'll see where we are and go from there.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, we obviously lost audio, but in the end, cakes turned out great. Came up with the 2 8-inch rounds after about 30 minutes. And instead of doing a frosting, because it was actually pretty darn hot in the kitchen, I decided to do something a little different. So this is homemade blackberry jam. Blackberries grown right here on the property. And we're going to fill it with that. Give it a little bit of summer flair, if you will. So, not going to lead you through the whole thing. We do this to both layers. And then we add a little something special. If you're lucky enough to live in a house that was well loved for many years, as I am, you get to get things like that, which is homegrown mint that is coming right out of a garden that Bill and Ruth O'Shaughnessy, who built our home, I'm assuming grew in the garden. Been out there ever since we've owned the house, so I'm attributing to them. And as part of the summer indulgence here, I decided to chop up a little bit of mint, put it on top of the jam. So here I am off looking for my new offset spatula. Actually, it wasn't the spatula, it was the knife. So chopped up some of the mint, and we're going to sprinkle that right on top. Add a little extra summery bonus into the cake. And then it's rinse and repeat with the top. All right, here's where the rubber hits the road. The tasting. Suffice to say, This was delicious. This is going in the repertoire. Golden cake with blackberry jam and mint. 100% we're doing that one again. Have a great week.
Thank you.